Holy smokes, Batman, plot to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Alright, so once again, welcome to my channel. This is Bruce the Boss Brooks, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you are brand new to this channel, and hit the notification bell so you can get notified of my latest content. And feel free to browse through a lot of my latest videos as well. If you like what you see, please subscribe, like, and comment to help get the message out there and the conversation going. Now, let's get into what's pushing the headlines today, right now. Oh my God, I cannot get Governor Gretchen Whitmer out of my mouth lately. So I just started this channel recently because I've had enough of what I felt as though the government overreach and the propaganda that's going out there. I felt the need to speak out, let my voice be known, and also help wake up others around the world, and more specifically, of course, around the country, but all about the common cause around the world, because we're all in the same boat, whether you're in Australia, United Kingdom, France, Germany, Belgium. We're fighting the same enemy, which is the biggest power grab and wealth transfer we've seen throughout perhaps all of human history, as they're taking advantage of this pandemic to grow in power and wealth. And in the short time I've created this new channel, trying to raise awareness and also wanting to let others know it's okay, you're not alone. Despite what the news says or the narrative that they're trying to sell, you are not an oddball, you are not weird or strange or selfish for looking at everything that's going around going around the country, going on around you, and thinking something doesn't add up. And by the way, you're taking away my freedoms, this is not right. And I also said, as you saw in the intro, I wanted to make sure that the revolution would in fact be televised, that you cannot censor all of our voices. And I want to thank everyone for the support and the views and helping to get this message and the conversation out there, because we will not be the silent majority any longer. And during the short time that I created this channel, I've already done 2 videos on Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer and her abuses of power. First video was in regards to the 500,000 signature petition that the people of Michigan signed in order to remove her emergency powers before the 2022 election, when it would be put on the ballot, or the earliest it could be put on the ballot. So they got a petition going. At the time I did the video, they had 400,000 signatures. They only needed 370, and they were setting a new goal of 500,000. And then I just did another video just the other day when I came back from Philadelphia from vacation or a time off, on the Supreme Court. So I've seen this coming. I've been predicting that there has been an uprising amongst the people all over the world, and people are waking up. The governments around the world have abused their power to such an extent that they forced a great awakening. I'm not this vocal. I'm just chill, live and let live, but I just felt things were just so urgent enough. The governments around the world, except for Sweden and Japan of all places, which have allowed the people to live their life, educate them, inform them of what they needed to do without overreaching and overstepping their bounds and the people's freedoms and rights and liberties. Japan of all people, more libertarian than the United States, or liberty-minded, which is weird. But I digress. But I've been seeing this bubbling, this revolution coming, and a lot of people have been ignoring it. Now, what has just transpired, I do not condone. Just want to put that out there. I do not condone any form of terrorism and acts of war. You do have the right to defend yourself against a tyrannical government if they start stepping out of bounds, literally, and not just figuratively, but literally using heavy-handed force, but only in that situation. But in this case, they've been, yes, overstepping their bounds, but there's a way to combat that. It's not as though it's a literal police state yet. It hasn't become literally a V for Vendetta-like situation where you have the police snatching you out of your home just for saying something that you don't like. Well, let me take that back. That did happen in Australia with Zoe Lee, and I did a video on that as well, where she did a Facebook post and the police came and arrested her for a Facebook post about a peaceful protest. But I digress. Do not condone acts of terrorism regardless. So what happened is apparently the FBI foiled a plot and arrested these 6 people who were part of not just a militia, but an anarchist group. The following individuals: a man by the name of Adam Fox, Barry Croft, Ty Garbin, Kaleb Franks, Daniel Harris, and Brandon Caserta. Now, here's the big thing. They're trying to label these people as far right-wing Trump supporters and blame this on Trump, but they are anarchists. And if you know anything, and don't let them fool you, don't let them try to change the narrative. The mainstream media I'm seeing on social media right now are pushing this narrative that they are Trump supporters. Trump encouraged and pushed this. That is false. Anyone who knows anything about anarchism, anarchy, and the anarchist philosophy is they are opposed to all forms of government. They're about power to the people without need for government to support and or try to defend and or take care of them. They see the government, if anything, as the enemy. Whenever the government says this is for your own good or I'm here to help you, they see it as another form of control and imprisonment, which is somewhat in line with libertarian, but libertarians at least work within the system and obviously create a political party, to give people their freedom, to whereas anarchists is about no government whatsoever. There is no way in hell they are Trump supporters, because Trump is the government. Trump is the head of a government organization, a country. And if you don't believe me, watch this video by Brandon Caserta, one of the individuals arrested in this plot, and so you don't take my word for it.
The Declaration of Independence was an anarchist document. It was a document that said you don't own me. It was a document that said you're not the boss of me. That's an anarchist document. Anarchy does not mean chaos, but the Constitution after that, which James Madison and a couple other people, or no, maybe it wasn't James Madison. I think he was a Federalist. It was a couple of the founding fathers. Thomas Paine was one of them that said they didn't like the Constitution because what it did was created a ruling class.
So they're going to try to change the narrative and say that Trump supported this, Trump pushed this. That's absolutely false. They are anarchists. And if anything, Governor Gretchen Whitmer did push this and bring this upon herself. Although I do not agree with their attempt to try to kidnap her. Again, I denounce any form of terrorism. You have the right to defend yourself, much like with Huey P. Newton and the Black Panthers, when faced with government oppression and police brutality. Yes, they armed themselves, they formed their own community, they took care of themselves, they fed their own people, created a breakfast program for the youth, created their own medical center to provide medical treatment and medical care, free health care for the people of their community. And when the police, who were representatives of the states, attacked, they defended themselves from a physical attack. This is not what was happening. She was not literally physically threatening the population. She was trying to rule the population and the citizens of Michigan as an empress, and it was a form of oppression and tyranny. And let me just go off of the list of things of how she violated her rights and use of emergency powers. She had the gall to say, if you owned a home, owned property, multiple properties in the state of Michigan during the height of the pandemic, you did not have the right to go to your second property at all. You had to stay put. How are you putting other citizens of Michigan at risk by getting in your car with your family that you're already entrapped in and at home, getting in with those same individuals and driving from one home to another? You're in a car, you're social distancing, you're not risking infecting anyone else. So tell me how that makes sense. That's an abuse of power, number one. Number two, she had the goal to say, when you go to a store like Walmart, you did not have the right to buy certain products. You're already there at Walmart. Why can't you buy gardening supplies? Why can't you buy toys? You're trapped at home. What else are you supposed to do? Why not help upkeep your home when you have no idea how long you're going to be in lockdown to begin with? Do you just let your lawn deteriorate? And what about kids? They need to be entertained. What if they no longer have any working toys and they need something new to keep them entertained, busy? Why can't you buy toys? You're already there at Walmart. How does that help increase the spread anymore by just going from one section of Walmart to the other? Help me make that make sense. And it was already bad enough that she was telling people. There's one story of a barber who is 77 years old, trying to support himself. He owned this business for several decades and was told you could not keep your business open. They suspended his license, but he still kept working because why? He needed to support himself because there was no mechanism in place to allow him to keep supporting himself and keep his business afloat. It was going to go under. There was no support coming from the government. They are the ones that forced these businesses to try to, to close, and provided no means for them to support themselves and or stay open to wait the lockdown out. So he had no choice but to try to keep his store open, even with a suspended license. And this was going on through May the 18th, I believe. And Shelley Luther here in Texas, I believe in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, who was going through a similar situation with her salon, supported him in his cause. So you had a lot of people in Michigan feel as though their rights were being trampled on, their right to earn a living, make money. She was abusing her rights and stealing theirs. So they had legitimate concerns and their complaints. Politicians have pushed the people too far. We need to stand up and say enough is enough, but not commit acts of terrorism. Although I do love it how they're quick to blame Trump for this, even though they are proven anarchists, and they take no responsibility for the terrorism that they have allowed and or okayed for the past. So we're in October now. The past 4 months since the George Floyd situation and the terrorist organizations known as Antifa and yes, Black Lives Matter, they have been intimidating individuals for months. Acts of fear, destroying communities, destroying businesses, assaulting people. Several individuals, Black lives have been lost during these riots, during the lootings, and they have said little to nothing. Businesses burning down. And somehow that's okay for them to allow this, to support the narratives that somehow cops are the enemy. Let's defund the police. They only gave these terrorist groups more power, allowed Chaz/CHOP to be set up in Portland. It was a mess, and the Democrats took no responsibility for that, but they're quick to blame an anarchist group on Trump when he has nothing to do with it. It's a bunch of lies and propaganda. Don't fall for it. There is a revolution happening. You need to wake up and realize that people should not be afraid of their governments. The governments should be afraid of the people when they push too hard. But again, afraid in the form of we are going to vote them out. We're going to stand up for our rights and protest. We will not be intimidated, and we will win at the end. But I just had to speak on this because she's just been on my mind and coming out of my mouth for the past month since I've been doing this video. And I am not surprised that this happened. Again, I don't condone it. I don't want to encourage it. We need to beat them at the polls and or in our own communities. I also understand people saying, you know what, this two-party system is a mess. It doesn't matter who's in office. The pendulum is just going to swing left to right. If we just keep doing this, let's make this community better ourselves. Let's get together, organize, and take care of ourselves. And screw the election. I get that, and I also support that if that's your position. Let's just not get violent unnecessarily. Again, right to defend yourself if the government starts to become so tyrannical that they use the weight of the police department and or armed forces against you. Defend yourself then, but do not be proactive in their attempt to overthrow the government. Do not support that at all. But that's all. I want to know your thoughts and comments on what's going on. Did you hear the comments of how and the message of how they're trying to lay this on Trump? Again, you can look it up yourself. Brandon, I'll put a link to one of his videos, the full length of one of his videos in the description box, so you can hear his messages and see that he really is an anarchist and not a far right-wing supporter. Read up, brush up on anarchy if you don't want to believe me. And I want to hear your thoughts and comments. Don't forget to smash on that like button, and please hit subscribe and the notification bell. We need to keep this conversation going because there is a revolution underway. If you didn't believe me before, it is happening for certain, and you must believe me now. We need to understand it, have these conversations, but also have them civilly, and just create this dialogue and keep them from suppressing us, because I am noticing that YouTube is not pushing a lot of my videos, and they're suppressing other similar videos as well, because we're starting to speak out. But they can't suppress us for much longer, especially the more we support each other, the more we help get the word out, sharing, liking, commenting. So I just want to thank everyone for the support thus far. So please don't forget to hit that subscribe button to help get the message out there so that the revolution will be televised. This is Bruce the Boss Brooks, and I'm out. Peace.